Which part? The drop? Uh-huh. Got it, got it. Thank you. About 10 minutes. Missed. Missed. What'd you say, Lucas? It's spreading, right? Yeah. Yep. I see that. Look at that. Look at that flare up. Where is that? Where are you looking? Oh, wow. That's on the... Man, that's crazy. Sorry. Man, that looks like it's getting closer to the 405, huh? Wow. Yeah. They did say that. Widen out. Tilt down. All the way at the bottom of the fire. Focus on that. Focus on that spot fire. That's... Sure. But if we start talking about houses again, just go ahead and do it. Show those fire trucks going up Carson. That thing is flaring up. That fire is flaring up over there in Brentwood. Yeah, you're a firefighter. Yeah, David, we're just, I'm sorry, we're doing a couple things at once here. You got a whole bunch of fire trucks now making their way up Carson Avenue, a welcome sight for the residents who live in this neighborhood. Hopefully they have evacuated or were not home, but now these firefighters can start protecting those structures if this fire continues to spread to the west. In the meantime, we're more focused at the moment to the south as the fire, the leading edge of this fire, is continuing to create spot fires, albeit not at the same pace as it was about an hour ago. I'm losing track of time, but you can see that the forward progress is slowing. It has not stopped. There are new fires starting as we speak. In fact, that patch of trees right there near the bottom of your screen, that's a brand new fire, and it is even closer to Vista Street and closer to Franklin Avenue. However, if you look at this shot, the winds have slowed down ever so slightly. You can see the smoke blowing, but not exactly at the same clip as a little bit earlier. And maybe that is helping out the situation quite a bit. But in the meantime, it is still spotting, it is still blowing. They are still dropping water on this fire, trying to cut it off at the pass, essentially. But this entire neighborhood still should be leaving right now. I think the concern is very much alive. However, the forward progress is slowing. They have dropped a lot of water on the fire, but that leading edge, that group of flames right there, is very unpredictable and is still at risk of spreading throughout this neighborhood, potentially. But don't take any chances. Definitely heed the warnings. All right. Another flare up. Just keep the camera on as we fly away. We're leaving now. Yep, I see that. That's a palm tree. Ten four. Yep. Look at that. That's definitely flaring, right? Really? Really? Can we kind of cut it off just to kind of take a peek on the way home? $405. Perfect. Can you? Okay, so what streets are those? Right there. Fire roads, hiking trails, no houses. Okay. All right, we're good. Ooh, look at that. You're right. Look at that. Yeah. Shoot, forgot. Is this tapped out? Okay, cool. Yeah. Same here. Yeah, this is two separate house fires for sure. And as visual as this is, I'm concerned, because it is clear if you look behind the house, there goes the front of the facade, the front of the house, a complete collapse now. And now that's going to send embers flying straight up that hill. That is going to send a whole flurry of embers straight up that hill, flying up to the homes above these two houses. And now you have a real situation, because already, as I was just about to say, you have a hillside that is on fire. Not just these houses. Obviously, those houses are creating quite a spectacle. But behind those houses, there is a hillside that is now firmly on fire. You can see the glow coming from those little fires behind it. And then if we come back out to the left, Lucas, we'll keep an eye out on that second property, which it does look like that other spot fire may have burned itself out unless somebody put it out. But we can focus back on these two house fires, which are going up right now as we speak in real time. These two, obviously, a complete loss. I just am concerned about the houses above it, uphill. Push in. Twenty minutes. I see that. Yeah, push in. No, I'm sorry. We've got some sparking coming right next to the fire truck here. It looks like might be a I don't know, maybe a power line that caused that. I don't know. We caught our attention there. We're still keeping a close eye on this because this is, you're so right. This is a perfect opportunity. There may not be any evacuation orders in place yet for this, and I don't know if there will be, but if you live right above this house, if you live one level up from Sunswept Drive, probably a good idea to head out just for a little bit until they get this under control, because right now what started as a house fire or two house fires is now burning well out of control, and I think beyond the limitations of the handful of crews that are down there right now. The only way is if they start doing some more water drops out here, which I presume they're in the process of dispatching as we speak. But right now you can see as clearly as we can, this fire is burning out of control. Good question, Lucas. Go ahead and tilt up. Go ahead and tilt up behind the homes. Behind the homes, there is a lot of brush that is now smoldering behind it. There is an orange glow coming. Go ahead and push in on the grass. There's brush, and right in there, you can see a whole side of the hill that is smoldering. There's spot fires in there. In fact, some of those weren't even there a few minutes ago. So this fire is indeed spotting, and another spot to the left. Another spot to the left. This is going to be a couple hundred yards away at the end of, I didn't catch that street. What is that? Is that Viewcrest Road. At the very end of Viewcrest Road is a spot fire that was almost certainly started by the embers from that house fire. So this is how fast it happens. And this one is almost more concerning in some ways, guys, because now you have an entire side of the Hollywood Hills, opposite Hollywood, that is completely threatened by that fire right there. $15. Closer, a little tighter. Copy that. Focus on that area right there, the south. Right. Copy. Thank you. L. You are correct. It is now the Sunset Fire, and it is getting closer and closer to this neighborhood along Vista Street, just north of Franklin Avenue. Fire helicopters flying through the shot here, and I'm paying particular attention to that brand new spot fire right there on the leading edge. Now, the rest of that fire is going to merge with it anyways, but that's a brand new spark that just happened a moment ago. That means those embers are indeed flying through the canyon in the southerly direction towards Hollywood Boulevard, and the fire is starting to kind of leapfrog itself closer and closer to these homes. Fortunately, at this juncture, we have not seen any homes or structures touched, but we are mere minutes away unless they can put out that spot fire and kill the leading edge of this fire. And even that will only delay things because you have large flare-ups like the one near the top of your screen right there. See that big flare-up right there, guys? That is creating a huge amount of embers that are continuing to blow through here and continue to creep south towards Hollywood Boulevard. No more than 100 feet. No more than 100 feet there. Less than 100 feet if you live along Vista Street. If you live along Vista Street, there are house lights in the shot, and there is fire practically in the backyard. Right there, that's a new spot fire, literally in somebody's backyard, I think, as it continues to spot ahead of itself. 2 spot fires. You see that tree on the left and a new tree or shrub or whatever on fire now on the right. Again, the embers are continuing to create new fires little by little by little. In fact, is there a flame on Vista? Is that a headlight or is that a city? That might be a house light. Okay, that's just a house light. But you can get an idea of the proximity to those houses now that this fire is getting closer and closer. I worry about the same thing, David. I don't see any traffic coming from this neighborhood. Hollywood Boulevard is now suddenly coming to a standstill, and you can see why, because basically people are catching wind of what's going on here. They're driving through Hollywood, and all of a sudden they're in a cloud of smoke and catching a glimpse of the bright fire up on the hillside here. So that's Hollywood Boulevard on the right-hand side of your screen. Lots of brake lights, lots of headlights as fire crews try and make their way through here. The one good thing here is that we're seeing more helicopters arrive on scene, and we are seeing more water drops. But look at all those flashing lights. Those are all fire trucks making their way into the neighborhood and hopefully getting into position. I presume, even though it's dark and we can't see this very clearly, I presume they're already in the process of trying to set up for structure protection in the neighborhood just north of Hollywood Boulevard. Now, the evacuation order, as I understand it, extends to the south up to Hollywood Boulevard. That's for now. If this neighborhood catches on fire, expect that to grow, and I mean, if this becomes an urban fire in the middle of Hollywood, you know, God help us, but this evacuation area could grow and could grow in short order, like within the hour. So let's keep a close eye on this and see how they do protecting these homes right here. But once these embers start flying into that neighborhood right there between Sierra Bonita Avenue, Hillside Avenue, and Vista Street along Franklin Avenue, just north of Hollywood Boulevard, then we have real problems. We'll see. It's getting closer by the minute. And look at that new fire, a new spot fire right there in the middle of your screen, a new spot fire getting closer to Runyon Canyon, where fire crews are now manning Runyon Canyon Road. There's a new fire right there that's grown pretty quickly and is now getting closer to Runyon Canyon. What I'm looking for, guys, is for that fire to jump Runyon Canyon Road based on the direction of the winds here. The winds are blowing that smoke and fire in this direction towards our shot here, and we will see if they can keep this fire from jumping Runyon Canyon Road, but it's going to be very difficult with those embers flying through the air. Yeah, and unfortunately, the further the fire continues to spread southward, so does that smoke, and you can already see it more and more by the minute. A lot of that thick black smoke now drifting right over the Hollywood area. This entire area is now being blanketed by really thick and unhealthy smoke. Obviously, it is time to get out. If you live anywhere in this area, you can take a look at Hollywood Boulevard along the left side of your screen here. Also spotting a little bit over towards the west. So we're going to keep an eye on Curson Avenue, but I think the focus here still remains on Hillside Avenue, Vista Street, and Franklin Avenue right there. That neighborhood on the right is now under threat by that fire on the left because the wind is blowing directly towards Franklin Avenue right along Vista Street. Thankfully, up until now, we have not seen any structures on fire, and even if it is imminent, at least they have the luxury of getting more water on it sooner rather than later, and hopefully do something to impede the forward progress of this fire. But it is continuing to grow, continuing to spread, and continuing to spot ahead of itself based on these winds. And there's another water drop right there. LA City Fire, again, smothering this area with as many resources as possible. This is now the priority at the moment. Of course, they can multitask and they can address multiple emergencies at the same time, but it is a good time to pray for our city. Well, go ahead. We can actually show you Hollywood Boulevard. We're keeping an eye on the traffic, and in the time that we've been here, we've watched things come to a practical standstill, partially due to the fact that LA City Fire has so many trucks now blocking Hollywood Boulevard. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to get through here. And if they don't already, I would imagine there's somebody down there directing traffic. But essentially, the yellow tape is going to start going up and prevent access to the neighborhood. I encountered that last night when I was driving up to the Hearst fire in Sylmar. But right now, it looks like you see some traffic now. That's a good sign right there. Those are folks along Camino Palmero Street that are now fleeing the neighborhood. Those are evacuees coming down Camino Palmero Street from left to right there towards Hollywood Boulevard. Those are all folks. That street dead ends, and those folks are now coming away from the fire. So folks are definitely heeding the warnings. They're getting word of this, and they're getting out fast. Can you press F on SkyMap? There you go. Yep. Yep. Now again, back. Fade back up. Oh no. Yeah. No buildings that we have observed, but there are now two major flare-ups. There's one in the foreground here, right there in the center of your screen, and if you tilt up just a little bit, Lucas, you can see on the other side of the ridgeline, there's another flare-up on the backside, on the other side of that ridgeline. Those tall flames are what really create the most danger, because that is creating embers that are already flying at a higher altitude than lower shrubbery and things like that. So you have really tall flames starting to flare up as the fire encounters some thicker brush. Hopefully these people have some degree of brush clearance, but in these winds it really doesn't matter. I can only say that, again, thankfully, if this was 24 hours ago, we would already be in trouble. Now they have a little bit more time to prepare to get out, and the fire department has a little bit more time to try and get in front of it. But it is a wait-and-see game at this hour.
One uni, 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 one.
New spot fire. New spot fire right there on the left. I would not say that, no. Widen that a little bit. Yep, you're looking at the right area. Okay. You're good. No, I know. Which part? The drop? Uh-huh. Got it, got it. Thank you. About 10 minutes. Missed. Missed. What'd you say, Lucas? It's spreading, right? Yeah. Yep. I see that. Look at that. Look at that flare up. Where's that? Where are you looking? Oh, wow. That's on the... Man, that's crazy. Sorry. Man, that looks like it's getting closer to the 405, huh? Wow. Yeah. They did say that. Widen out. Tilt down. All the way at the bottom of the fire. Focus on that. Focus on that spot fire. That's sure. But if we start talking about houses again, just go ahead and do it. Show those fire trucks going up Carson. That thing is flaring up. That fire is flaring up over there in Brentwood. Yeah, you're firefighter. Yeah, David, we're just, I'm sorry, we're doing a couple things at once here. You got a whole bunch of fire trucks now making their way up Carson Avenue, a welcome sight for the residents who live in this neighborhood. Hopefully they have evacuated or were not home, but now these firefighters can start protecting those structures if this fire continues to spread to the west. In the meantime, we're more focused at the moment to the south as the fire, the leading edge of this fire, is continuing to create spot fires, albeit not at the same pace as it was about an hour ago. I'm losing track of time, but you can see that the forward progress is slowing. It has not stopped. There are new fires starting as we speak. In fact, that patch of trees right there near the bottom of your screen, that's a brand new fire, and it is even closer to Vista Street and closer to Franklin Avenue. However, if you look at this shot, the winds have slowed down ever so slightly. You can see the smoke blowing, but not exactly at the same clip as a little bit earlier. And maybe that is helping out the situation quite a bit. But in the meantime, it is still spotting, it is still blowing. They are still dropping water on this fire, trying to cut it off at the pass, essentially. But this entire neighborhood still should be leaving right now. I think the concern is very much alive. However, the forward progress is slowing. They have dropped a lot of water on the fire, but that leading edge, that group of flames right there, is very unpredictable and is still at risk of spreading throughout this neighborhood, potentially. But don't take any chances. Definitely heed the warnings. All right. Another flare up. Just keep the camera on as we fly away. We're leaving now. Yep, I see that. That's a palm tree. Ten four. Yep. Look at that. That's definitely flaring, right? Really? Really? Can we kind of cut it off just to kind of take a peek on the way home? $405. Perfect. Can you? Okay, so what streets are those? Right there. Fire roads, hiking trails, no houses. Okay. All right, we're good. Ooh, look at that. You're right. Look at that. Yeah. Shoot, I forgot. Is this tapped out? Okay, cool.
So all this just started overnight. I've been kind of keeping it quiet because my wife's still sleeping, even though you can't see her in the background. I'm up early, woke up a little bit.
Yeah.
But as you can see, these are all new fires that just started overnight.
This is two separate house fires for sure. And
this
as
is
visual as
Studio
this
City
is,
right here.
I'm concerned because it is clear if you
I
look
don't know if
behind
it's
the
from
house,
embers
there goes the
flying
front of the
over.
facade, the
They
front of the
said
house,
the,
a complete collapse now. And now that's going to send embers flying straight up that hill. That is going to send a whole flurry of embers straight up that hill, flying up to the homes above these two houses. And now you have a real situation because already, as I was just about to say, you have a hillside
I think I'm
that
gonna
is
go,
on fire. Not just
I
these
think
houses.
this is on a loop.
Obviously,
I don't think it's
those
live
houses
anymore.
are creating quite a spectacle.
So I'm gonna
but behind
check
those
and see
houses,
what else I can
there
find
is a
to
hillside
get some
that is now
updates.
firmly on fire. You can see the glow coming from those little fires behind it. And then if we come back out to the left, Lucas, we'll keep an eye out on that second property,
Yes,
which
this
it does look
says
like
live.
that other spot fire may have burned
But
itself
I've
out
already
unless
seen
somebody put it
this.
out. But we can focus back on these two house
So
fires,
let's go
which are
back
going
and see.
up right now.
Country and the world. We do continue to cover the latest here on those wildfires that are burning out of control across the LA area. Coming up in just a couple minutes, an expert will join us to break down all of the latest information. First, though, we've talked a lot about the 11 people who have passed away as a result of the fire. And again, officials there are saying that number sadly could rise in the coming days. But there's also a lot of people who have reported their loved ones missing. Susan Harrison with our Fox 11 LA team has that story.
Try and get away from some of the fires.
We just received some good news. We told you about the story of Isaiah Brathwaite trying to reconnect with his missing aunt Lorraine. Well, after we aired our story on Fox 11 News, she made contact with the family. One successful story. But meantime, there is another person up in Idaho trying to find 82-year-old Peter Blinn. It's a former neighbor, a former hiking partner. She's quite worried about him.
Start crying.
Okay, I'm gonna go quiet again and close the camera down.
But we quickly formed a bond and
Bethany Baird is talking about Altadena resident Peter Blinn.
went grocery shopping every week together. And I tried to get him to move with us, but he grew up in Altadena and didn't want to leave.
She now lives out of Boise, Idaho, and is going crazy trying to find the man who was like a surrogate grandfather to her 5 children.
His house burned to the ground. I have confirmation on that. He had a truck and he has left, but really shouldn't be driving. But I don't think he would leave Pasadena, La Cañada, Altadena area, would not get on a freeway.
She's got her former neighbors looking for the 82-year-old with declining mental capabilities.
I have a friend out right now with a backpack and a track phone with my phone number, my husband's phone number in it for him. If she finds him, she knows him also. But so I have people looking for him at the shelters.
Bethany wants to remain hopeful, but Blinn is a man who mostly is known as a loner, and he has no cell phone or computer.
I don't even know how he'll handle all of the finding housing without a computer, without a cell phone. Like, I will drive down there the moment I make connection and help him.
If you have information about Peter Blinn, you can contact the Red Cross or the LA Sheriff's Department. And if you are missing contact with a loved one or a friend, you might be able to get the information here at the Family Assistance Center. They will open on Saturday at 11 a.m. right here at the Pasadena Convention Center. In Pasadena, Susan Hirasuna, Fox 11 News.
Susan, thank you so much for that report. Again, we'll check in with our Fox 11 LA team later on this morning as they go back into live coverage with reporters covering every angle of these fires. If you are just joining us here on Live Now from Fox, it is 7:58 on the East Coast and 4:58 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and the world. I do want to take you out to the latest here as we continue to cover the latest on those fires burning around the LA area. Take a look at your screen. This right here is the latest information coming in from Cal Fire. The Palisades fire right now burning more than 21,000 acres. The Eaton fire burning more than 14,000. And the Kenneth fire burning more than 1,000. We also have some of the information here as far as the latest numbers. There are 4 major fires that are burning. That also includes the Hearst fire. The death toll, as we mentioned, rising to 11, and officials warning that number could rise in the coming days. A total of 36,000 acres have burned at this point, and 12,300 structures have been destroyed as a result of the fires. A lot to discuss, no question here, so I do want to bring in Dr. Jeffrey Lindsay, the Fire and Emergency Services Director and Senior Lecturer at the University of Florida, also a retired fire chief. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning and help explain this just a little bit further.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
Of course. And first off, I do want to ask you, because there's been a lot of discussion about how these fires could be a little bit different than what California and other states are used to seeing. Explain to me how this could potentially be a bit different.
I think with this fire, one of the things that's different is they're used to the Santa Ana winds out in California. But in this situation, the wind speed has been so great that I like to refer to it as a hurricane with fire. Here in Florida, we deal with hurricanes with water. There, they're dealing with a hurricane with fire, which makes a huge difference. Fire spreading so rapidly that you cannot get ahead of the fire necessarily, and it makes a huge difference in trying to contain the fire. So I think the wind speed is the #1 issue. You do have a very densely populated area, which makes it even more difficult because with houses that close and the wind speed and embers flying at the speed they're going, it makes a setup scene for a perfect storm, if you will, for this particular fire.
And how do firefighters even begin to go about battling fires like this? Because, again, we're talking a fire that is 8% contained, another that is 3% contained. So how does all this work? And I also want to point out, this is just some of the aerial video here of the Palisades fire aftermath provided by Fox 11 LA.
Yeah, I think it's, #1, it's very difficult if you don't have the resources available to combat such a monster, if you will. I think at this time, in the beginning, all they could do was quote their best and being able to evacuate, get the individuals out of the area that's being affected. Evacuation's a #1 priority when something's happening like that. And then secondly, to try to do the best in containing anything that can be contained, which I think in this situation made it very difficult because of the magnitude and the force of winds that were accompanied with this particular fire. It makes it really hard for the fire service to be able to make any type of headway on this type of fire. So it's basically a life-saving maneuver at the beginning, and then as time goes on and the winds hopefully calm down, they'll be able to take action as resources come in. They'll be able to take the action needed to be able to contain the fire first, and then to be able to extinguish the fire. So hopefully that will happen. Unfortunately, I hear the wind speeds are still could be even greater than what they were or about the same. So that's going to make it more difficult. So when the wind speed dies down, the personnel are there to be able to make some efforts to be able to combat the fire. I think that's when you'll see things making somewhat of a change. I mean, a 3% and 8% is not much, but it's at least a little bit to be able to combat such a huge incident.
When you talk about the fire spreading, it does seem to, I guess the correct way to word it would be to jump over the roadways, and it kind of skips around. You have sometimes houses that aren't impacted, and then you look down the road and there are other homes that are impacted. Can you explain that, really just how all of that works?
Well, I wish I could explain it be like a tornado, for example. You see in tornadoes that houses destroyed, then you have a house that stands. It's just by the freak of nature, so to speak, that you have things occur in this manner, where by the grace of God, your home is spared, your business is spared. You saw the fire department's building still is the only building that was left standing. It's a matter of purely, coincidental for the most part. Some of it has to do with what the building construction is. Some of it has to do with maintaining around the home. But in this case, with the amount of embers that are flying, it's very difficult to even see one house stand in this situation. So I think basically those situations, it's just at that point in time, those particular residents were spared because of luck. Winds may have reduced down in speed enough to allow the embers to not hit their particular homes. There could be a lot of things that factor into it, but what really happens is really by the grace of God that any building is spared.
And one thing I want to do is pop up some of this video that did come in from Storyful, which provides a video like this. And it actually leads into my next question, because what this shows is essentially a person with a blowtorch, according to officials, who was stopped by some of the neighbors, and this was around the Kenneth fire. Eventually, what you see in this video is they start to hold him down until police do arrive. It looks like one of the neighbors is kind of pointing out this guy. And again, it leads to my next question of, are these fires mostly man-made? Are they arson? Is it kind of a mix of both? What is that situation? What can you tell me about that?
Well, I think it's too early to really identify, but considering that any natural causes of the fire pretty much was not evident at the time. I mean, seeing things such as lightning, things of that nature, that's more natural. But when you have fires such as this and you see these types of scenarios that play out, yes, most of them are probably arson, probably are man-made. The difference between the two is the arson is somebody's intentionally setting the fire, whether it be to burn trash in the back of the yard.
You gotta admit, it looks pretty sus.
Go out and actually incinerate.
You got a blowtorch and
fire.
I think there was a fire started near there too.
Such as,
I think somebody actually observed him starting the fire.
That has to be considered. As far as a man-made fire, I mean,
this
driving
happened
down
a couple days ago.
where vehicles may ignite because of the catalytic converters, etc. They may have ignited, but in most cases that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, in many cases, it has to do with the human component, which is arson.
And of course, we are working to figure out if this person has officially been charged or anything of that nature. I'm leaving this video up so folks can get a look, because it is a rather lengthy video coming in from Chris Sumner. This is again via Storyful, but you can see the neighbors kind of take him to the ground and hold on to him. Later on, you'll see police arrive and they take him away. So again, he was detained. It's not clear if he was arrested, charged, all of that is still left to figure out. But that is a guy who officials say was carrying a blowtorch, kind of held down by those neighbors right near the Kenneth fire. I do want to ask, do other states who don't necessarily experience wildfires like this have the resources to send over to places like California? Because we know Florida, for instance, deals with wildfires, but other states that maybe don't, are they able to provide those resources to actually help battle a fire like this?
I think each agency has resources available. I mean, one thing that can take place is they have enough of resources to come into what we call is backfill stations in the California region to be able to send those units that have that experience dealing with the wildland fires in California out to the scene of the wildland fires. So I think everyone in the United States has the ability of some level to be able to assist. I think that Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Colorado, Wyoming, those states out west all have the resources available and are accustomed to such incidents, so they can send in their crews and equipment to California to assist. And I think a lot of that has already taken place.
Is there really a way to prevent wildfires from spreading or from starting in the first place? Is that something that's
one of the major
really
concerns
possible?
is even after they put all the fires out, is all the burn
Yes, number
scars.
one
If we get
is
rain,
we can
it's going to
take,
cause
and
havoc with
as we
mudslides
saw
and
in
stuff.
the previous video with the gentleman with
nothing
the
to stop
blowtorch,
the
I mean, that's the
topsoil
number one
from
issue.
moving.
Secondly,
saturated with the
in
water.
those cases, you can take and prepare your homes, keeping the brush away from your homes, making sure that around the house is cleaned up, things of that nature. Unfortunately, in this situation, it's almost impossible to do anything to prevent your house from being a victim to the fires because of the way this particular fire acts. With the ashes being spread and the wind forces, I mean, everyone becomes a victim. In most cases, though, when we're dealing with the typical wildland fires, yes, there is a program available to the National U.S. Fire Administration that can be utilized to help prepare your home to be able to withstand such events. So, and like I said, most of it has to do with your vegetation around your home, keeping your home around your home clean, et cetera, to be able to take and provide the best instance. But unfortunately, in this situation, when you have such a perfect storm, it's very difficult, even if you've done everything right to sustain such a catastrophe.
All right. Dr. Jeffrey Lindsay, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help break this down a little bit further. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, I think the biggest thing that people have to understand is fortunately, this is not an everyday occurrence, so to speak. And unfortunately, there's been some different factors that have played into this that I think will come to light as time goes on. And there'll be a lot of decisions that have to be made as far as the future of how to deal with such events. One of the things in the fire service is we do learn from the events and try to make it better for the next event. But unfortunately, we have events such as this that may have been a precedence that we've never experienced before, and we have to take and learn from that.
All right, Dr. Lindsay, thank you again for taking the time to join us here. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I do want to take you out to just one of the live images that we do have at this hour. This is actually from a distance, and it's over in Mount Wilson, California. What you can see is the fire burning there in the distance. Again, it's fairly far away, but you're also going to notice that the camera is shaking quite a bit, leading to concerns again about the wind spreading these fires even more. So the wind kind of visible there as far as the shaking of the camera, but in the distance, that is just some of the fire that is burning among these multiple fires, 4 major ones in the LA area. We are going to head to our first 2-minute commercial break of the hour here at 8:12 on the East Coast and 5:12 on the West Coast. On the other side, we do have an overnight update that came in from Cal Fire. They're going to join us live a bit later on this morning with a live update, but this is the one that came in overnight. That's coming up after this quick commercial break. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox 814 on the East Coast and 514 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. I do want to pop this up for you right now. This is actually coming in from Bill Malugin. He is with Fox News and posted what is going to be a video here as he says he was pulling into work in West LA as the Palisades fire ominously burns over the hill and threatens Brentwood. We'll be heading out into the fire zone to field anchor later on this morning, so we'll check in with him a bit later as we get more details. But that is an image that he did post earlier on this morning. Again, we know there are new evacuation orders as a result of that fire. And of course, specifically there, we are talking about the Palisades fire. Now, CAL FIRE gave us an update overnight, and I do want to play that for you here on Live Now from Fox as we await their next update.
From the CAL FIRE Information Center, I'm Daniel Berlant with the CAL FIRE report for Friday, January 10th, 2025. More than 8,000 personnel, including firefighters, law enforcement officers, and emergency support personnel, continue to battle and support the ongoing historic wildfires in Southern California. Now, despite continued red flag warning conditions for critical fire weather across much of the Southland, firefighters are making progress on a number of fronts. As you can see from our incident map here on our website, there are 5 large wildfires burning across mostly in Los Angeles counties. But in the past 24 hours, there were 6 new wildfires, all of which have either had their forward rate of spread stopped or have been fully contained. Let's talk about a few of the large wildfires. Again, this is all information available, validated information on our website where you can see the fire perimeters themselves, the latest information on them. You can even see the aircraft, evacuation warnings, and all the other details you are going to need to stay up to date with these fires. On the Palisades fire, over 20,000 acres have burned so far. On the map here, you can very easily select evacuation orders and see exactly where evacuation orders continue to remain in effect on this fire. And despite firefighters, again, making progress, there are still evacuation orders across really the region. You can also select active air assets and see exactly where our CAL FIRE aircraft and helicopters are flying. Obviously, when the peak of the winds were blowing, hurricane-like conditions are not only not safe, they are not effective for firefighting aircraft. But today, with those more favorable weather conditions, there are air tankers and helicopters actively battling this wildfire. The Palisades fire, though, sadly, has grown to the 3rd most destructive wildfire in our state's history, with likely 5,300 structures. Now, that can be all types of buildings, homes, outbuildings combined. 5,300 structures, again, making it a 3rd destructive fire. You can also on our website check out 3D maps where you can go in, again, zoom in exactly into different areas of the fire and see exactly where your home may be or where the devastation may occur. Now, this map does not yet show validated structure information, but it does let you at least see an up-to-date idea of where the perimeters lie and where the evacuation warnings remain. And again, this map is 3D. You can see here we're over on the Eaton fire now in the Pasadena, Altadena areas where this fire has been really held at check to just under 14,000 acres, 3% contained. So firefighters are making progress, but again, a very, very destructive fire. And again, as we kind of zoom in here in the 3D map, you can see exactly where this fire is burning, just at the upper edge of the 210 corridor. Now, on this map, you can also see live video from our camera systems, Alert California, all integrated onto this website. So just a really good source of information. But going back to the statewide map here, the real big news here was we had a fire breakout yesterday in the West Hills area of Los Angeles and Ventura counties called the Kenneth Fire. Now, it has been held at about 1,000 acres. 35% contained, but the forward spread has been stopped. This was a fire right up in this area here. I'll zoom in on the map to kind of give you a better idea of where it is. And again, you can see here's one of the CAL FIRE helicopters right now flying over Topanga, another one just over Calabasas. So again, this is such a great resource to actually be able to see where our aircraft are. Now, of course, on the ground here, are thousands of firefighters on the front lines battling this fire. But again, the Hidden Hills area, a big scare yesterday, but an aggressive initial attack has stopped the forward spread of this fire. Again, go to fire.ca.gov for all of this information right at your fingertips. I want to talk a little bit about some of the destruction that has occurred. Sadly, our initial damage assessment has found that between the Eaton and the Palisades fire, likely over 10,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed. Now, those numbers are preliminary, and they could include anything from a home to a shed to an outbuilding. So we are working to validate with our damage inspectors on the ground exactly what was damaged or destroyed. But you can see from this video, in some of the pictures, it's just complete destruction. In some of them, people see trees and other vegetation and wonder, well, why are the trees still standing, but everything else is destroyed? In an urban setting, like we have seen in Altadena and parts of North Pasadena, a conflagration occurs. Imagine the wildfire sending embers a half mile, a mile, raining down on homes. First, those embers have to find a weak spot in the construction or something flammable, usually within the first 5 feet of the home. And if it is able to ignite that home or that surrounding vegetation in what we call zone 0, the immediate first 5 feet of the home, it can spread to the home. And then one home burns, it just follows fence lines or other pathways that just travel the fire from home to home to home, and that's where there's complete destruction of a neighborhood, but the trees are still standing. But in this, you can see one home standing, but everything else destroyed. Well, why is that one home saved? It could have been firefighting intervention. Firefighters doing structure defense could have saved this home, but also this home may have built or retrofitted with home hardening items.
Some houses
so important why we talk about retrofitting in home hardening and also maintaining defensible space, the dead or dying vegetation around your home, in particular in that first zone, that zone 0, that first 5 feet, anything flammable. That is a new recommendation in the last several years. It does make a difference. And again, this is such a tragic scene, but we are working hard to validate exactly where these homes and the number and addresses and make that available to the public. Let's talk a little bit about the weather. A red flag warning remains in effect today for moderate to strong northeast winds. Now, it's really important to note, we were expecting a Santa Ana wind event that usually is coming out of the desert. They are hot, they are dry, and they are really destructive winds. But really what we saw was heavy winds coming out of the north. Again, still causing the same effects, but probably not technically a Santa Ana wind event. Nonetheless, we are monitoring the weather conditions and expecting the winds to pick back up over this weekend. Now, again, a red flag warning does remain in effect through much of Southern California. What we're looking at, though, next week, we could actually see a Santa Ana wind event. In fact, a very high probability of a Santa Ana wind event, again bringing strong winds, gusty, destructive winds that, if any ignition occurs, could fan the fires. And so not only do we have firefighters, again, at all of these fires across the Southland, but we are continuing to pre-position resources. We have brought in hundreds of firefighters from other states, Oregon, Colorado, just to name a few, to make sure we have plenty of firefighters to continue to respond to the new fires that break out each and every day, while also ensuring, again, that firefighters are on the front lines to do structure defense and to stop these major wildfires. Now, with high fire danger again expected throughout the weekend and into next week, it is so important that all residents, but especially those in Southern California, take steps now to prevent sparking a wildfire. Now, these recent wildfire tragedies, though, are a reminder for all Californians to be ready for wildfire. Yes, even in the month of January. To learn more, we have this great website, readyforwildfire.org. You can find preparedness tips on evacuation items. What should you take? What should you do ahead of a fire? But also the preparedness steps on how to create defensible space, how to harden your home against the embers of wildfires. All of things that maybe you don't think about normally until May or June or July, the typical peak of fire season. But here we are in drought conditions. Now is the time to still make sure that you are ready for wildfire. Now, again, for the latest information validated on the wildfires burning across California, make sure to visit our website, fire.ca.gov. That's the
All right, a big thank you to Cal Fire for providing that update. And as you see there at the bottom of your screen, coming up in about 90 minutes, that is the next update we're going to get from Cal Fire as they join us live for a one-on-one discussion, again, providing more information about all of those fires that are burning in the LA area. I do want to take you out to this post. We showed this to you a bit earlier, but this is from Bill Malugin. He is with Fox News. Not sure if this video does have audio, so looks like it does not, but you can see the images there on your screen, as Bill says, pulling into work in West LA as the Palisades fire ominously burns over the hill and threatens Brentwood. We'll be heading out into the fire zone to field anchor later this morning, so we'll hopefully be able to check in with him for more on that. In the meantime, we're also hearing from our Fox affiliates in that location. We have Zach Sauce, who is with our Fox 2 San Francisco team, speaking with some of those impacted by the fires.
Yeah, for the Kasu's, they're now trying to figure out how to care for their 92-year-old wheelchair-bound grandmother. She lived here at this Altadena home. The home, it was fitted for her care, and now, as you can see, it's completely gone.
You'll have to actually see it to process it.
Georgia Kasu offered a brief window to do just that.
We were hoping that the house would still be there the next day, but it wasn't.
A reminder of the once tranquil respite the family created atop an overlook in Altadena. Quickly interrupted by the ongoing efforts to knock out hotspots across their community, a community now left virtually unrecognizable in the wake of the Eaton fire.
It's shocking. It's shocking.
Georgia finding little left to salvage on Thursday, hoping to return today. She, along with her son and daughter, unable to get back in, access restricted by the National Guard.
We don't have time yet to really think about the next steps.
Still wearing the clothes they left in, the family haunted by the memories of their evacuation.
Our electricity went out at 6:30 in the evening, so we had no light. We had only candles, and the wind was crazy, crazy. It was the most wicked wind we've ever had.
That's when they noticed the mountains on the horizon.
Fire was coming closer and closer and closer, so we realized that, you know, we need to get out. We need to get Mom out.
But that, no easy task.
We left at 3 a.m. with whatever we could fit in the car, and my mother and her hospital bed.
Georgia's 92-year-old mother had to be carried from the home with the help of her children amid harrowing conditions.
The winds were ferocious. If you could open your eyes from all the dust flying around, you would see the mountains on fire, and fire was climbing up the mountain and also going down the mountain.
So much
Today,
sadness
this
going
family
on right now
left
around
with
here.
nothing.
Seeing a place where you
Can
have a
only
lot of
imagine
memories
having to
tied
try
and a
and
lot
carry
of
my mom
family
out
and a lot of
burning building,
loving experiences. It's
on the verge
going to
of
be hard to
catching fire.
see.
Like so many in the community, struggling, but already with their
Kinda
eyes on
related to a
rebuilding.
story
I know the
yesterday
community is
that,
here. They're still
I was
here.
able to help,
We're still
help out
here,
a family
and
that
we're just
had been
searching for.
displaced by the fire.
I mean, we're searching for each other to pull.
Somebody
to
in
pull
our
us through.
organization.
And right now, the
had an empty
Kasu's
house
staying with
that
other
just needed to
family.
be
They, of course,
furnished.
want to rebuild,
And
but like
so
so many other
one of the team
families here,
members,
facing an incredibly long
that's
and
associated with
financially
the thrift store I
difficult
work
road
at,
ahead. In
was able to come
Altadena,
down
Zach
and pick out a
Sauce,
bunch of
Fox
stuff
11 News.
that we were able to take there
A big
to
thank you
the,
there
to the
to our
empty
different
home
Fox
and
affiliates
kind of
over
fill it
in
with some
California. We're
furniture.
talking
And
Fox 11 LA,
hopefully,
as well as
they were
Fox
able to
2
get
San
settled and,
Francisco. We're going to
at
have
least
Fox
have a
11
secure
LA's
place to
coverage
sleep
coming up later on
last
this
night.
morning as they go live with a team of reporters and the latest information on all of these fires burning across California. The time now 8:28 on the East Coast
There's
and
just so many
5:28
that's been
on the West
displaced.
Coast. My name is
Kinda
Josh
crazy.
Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and the world. We are going to head to a quick 2-minute commercial break, and on the other side, we will have the latest on the fire, the information that's coming in, but also we'll check in with our Fox 5 Atlanta team for a look at their winter storm coverage. All of that coming up here in just a few.
propped up on the bed. It's kind of funny. Waiting for the commercial break. I'm gonna be ending this pretty soon. I gotta go to a meeting, so. I just thought when I seen that there was new fires that were starting to erupt up in Hollywood Hills, I thought I would go ahead and share it with everybody, keep everybody informed. For me, it has a big impact, especially with like work. My dog found a squeaky toy.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome in here on Live Now from...
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running. That's why at Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Cal Fire right now. Take a look at your screen as these are the latest numbers from overnight.
That's crazy.
The Palisades fire right now having burned
contained.
21,596 acres, and at last check, it is 8% contained. As for the Eaton fire, burning about 14,000 acres and only 3% contained. The Kenneth fire,
these have been
a little
going for
more than
days
1,000
and
acres,
barely
and
any
that fire,
containment
we're
at
told
all.
by Cal Fire, is 50% contained. We also have some of the other information coming in, as we know that at least 11 people have died and thousands of structures have been burned as the wildfires spread across the LA area. This, of course, happening over the last several days. A massive flare-up of the Palisades fire erupted just hours ago, forcing a new round of mandatory evacuations in Brentwood and Encino, California, shutting down some of the major roads there. And that includes portions of the 405 freeway near Bel Air and Westwood. 5 deaths have been confirmed from the Palisades fire, which broke out Tuesday and is now burned through more than 21,000 acres in and around the Pacific Palisades. We do have a live image coming in from that area here. I want to pop it up for you. Obviously, right now it is fairly dark, but you can see in the distance as the fire, one of many, is still burning in that direction. That right there is the Palisades fire. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department saying that all evacuation orders and warning areas for the Palisades fire were under a curfew order from 6 p.m. last night Pacific until 6 a.m. this morning Pacific. Now that is in just about 30 minutes. It's not clear just yet if that will be in the same situation that takes place later on tonight, if there will be another curfew, but the second we find out, we will let you know. We've also been checking in with our Fox 11 LA team for their live coverage, and Gigi Graciette was able to speak one-on-one with the fire chief. Obviously, there are rumors circulating right now about the situation unfolding between LA Mayor Bass as well as the fire chief. But let's pop up the audio here and listen in.
A lot on the 405 corridor, off the 405.
The chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department, Kristen Crowley. Thank you for talking to us today. And we're just going to get straight to the nitty-gritty because there's been so much talk. And you're aware of the criticism. Most of the criticism has been directed towards the city of Los Angeles, towards Mayor Karen Bass, but it's also been directed towards the administration. Everybody loves firefighters. We love our men and women on the front lines, but the administration is another thing, and they've been very critical of the way everything has been handled. Your reaction when you read those tweets, those messages, those emails?
I tell you, my reaction first and foremost is to step back and remind myself that I'm not a politician. I'm the fire chief of the greatest fire department in the world. So my focus, first and foremost, is to make sure that our fire department, our firefighters are properly funded, they're properly trained, they're properly equipped. So when it comes to the criticism, since day one, my number one priority has been and will continue to be that our firefighters get what they need so that they can serve the community. That is number one. I am going to turn down the noise when it comes to any type of criticism because every decision that I make is going to be based off of what my firefighters need.
And those lives are on the line. So let's get to the big question, the budget. There's so much talk about it. It was cut 17 million. It was cut this. It wasn't cut at all, according to one newspaper. Was your budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 cut?
I can tell you, I'm going to even go back further than that. Again, since day one, we've identified huge gaps in regard to our service delivery and our ability from our firefighters, boots on the ground, to do their jobs. Since day one, this is my third budget as we're going into 25-26. What I can tell you is we are still understaffed, we're still under-resourced, and we're still underfunded. So with that, whether it's 7 million, 10 million.
But was the budget cut?
Yes, it was cut, and it did impact our ability to provide service.
Let's talk about that memo. You sent a memo, a scathing memo, to the Board of Fire Commissioners where you expressed your concern that you were not going to be able to do your job. Your firefighters would not be able to respond adequately to a major emergency like a wildfire, like what we're seeing right now.
Right. So understanding where our services gaps are, number one, is understanding where our firefighters need in regard to their equipment. Now, let's focus back on what our people need, and what they need to be is properly funded and equipped. Whether it's 7 million or not, it doesn't matter. It impacts our ability, just like you said with the board report, of our ability to provide service, and that's on a normal day. Our firefighters are running over 1,500 calls. They're transporting 650 patients a day on a normal day, let alone the last 3 days of what we've had with significant impacts that have changed the communities that we serve, their lives forever. So with that, we're going to continue to fight for what we need to. That is my job as the fire chief of the best fire department in the world.
In December, you wrote that memo. You said that these budget cuts were going to severely affect your department, from everything from brush clearance checks to make sure homeowners were doing what they needed to do, to fire hydrant checks. And yet you heard the mayor just yesterday say, no, those cuts did not affect the ability to serve and would not have changed anything in this situation. What is going through your mind? And I know this is difficult. There are a lot of politics at play. You are not a politician. You are the woman responsible for all these men and women at LA City Fire and for our residents in the city of Los Angeles. When you hear the mayor say it didn't affect anything at all, what is going through your head? If you can share that with us.
Sure. So just full transparency. Again, my position is to make sure that our people get what they need to do their jobs, and also, mind you, that they get to go home to their families. The amount of calls that our firefighters are running today
citizens of LA
has doubled since 2010. A 55% increase with 68 less people.
Considering how much taxes
full transparency, this isn't a new problem for us. Since the 3 years that I've been in the seat, I've sounded the alarm to say we need more. This is no longer sustainable.
Not to get too political
so with
stuff,
that, we're now in a position to be properly funded. We are screaming to be properly funded to make sure that our firefighters can do their jobs so that we can serve the community that we took an oath.
But when the representative of the city says the cuts that were made and signed did not affect the response to the fire that is being criticized, the response that is being criticized by so many people, what is going through your mind?
Yeah, just again, the full transparency of the documentation, of being able to sound the alarm.
Does it make you mad?
I don't know if it makes me mad. In the end, that is my job as a chief, to make sure that my voice is heard. And my voice is amplified from the needs of what our people need to do their job.
So tell the city, tell the residents, tell the people that are out there. I mean, thousands and thousands of people have lost their homes, and they're looking to blame someone, and it's not the Santa Ana winds necessarily. Mm-hmm. They are looking to blame administrators.
Right.
What is the message here? And have you had a one-on-one with the Mayor Bass and said, hey, I told you so. I told you this was going to affect our ability to respond to a major emergency.
I would start with a message to the community. I think they already know in their hearts that our LAFD firefighters are here to serve them, first and foremost. Again, none of us on the fire department are politicians. We're public servants first. We took an oath to serve the public before ourselves and even before our families. So with that, I want to focus on path forward. I want to focus on what the LAFD needs, what I need as the fire chief and what our people need to do their jobs to make sure that we can save lives and that we can protect property to the greatest capacity, but we need to be funded appropriately, and that's where my head is, you asked.
The mayor said it didn't affect your ability to respond. Did it affect LA City Fire's ability to respond, starting with the Palisade Fire and then this domino effect of fires, including the Archer Fire that we're seeing happen right now in Granada Hills?
I think obviously any budget cut is going to impact our ability to provide service. That's at this point, that is a ground truth in regard to our ability. If there's a budget cut, we had to pull from somewhere else. What does that mean? That doesn't get done. There's delays. So in the end, again, I'm going to focus on getting us what we need from this particular catastrophe and disaster and how much it's impacted the communities that we love. I got to go after the things that will help our firefighters, keep them safe, and make sure that if and when this ever happens again, that we're properly funded and that we have the ability to do our jobs and keep people safe.
What is your message to city administrators, starting with Mayor Bass?
My message is the fire department needs to be properly funded.
And it's not.
It's not at this point, and we've got the justification. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations.
Let's repeat that, because those numbers are a little jarring. 20 years ago, you had more fire stations than you had now?
We had 112 fire stations. Now we have 106. And since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls. 55% increase with 68 less firefighters.
So the city funding is not keeping up with the city's needs in real time?
No, and that's what our firefighters need.
I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to continue pressing you on this. In your mind, what were you thinking when you hear all the city leaders say, it didn't affect, everything was great, it's unprecedented and la la la. And yes, the Santa Ana winds are unprecedented. We don't have them in January. We all know that. What was going through your heart?
What's going through my heart is that our firefighters, the community's firefighters, LAFD firefighters need to be properly funded. We need to be supported so that they can do their jobs.
And let me show you real quick. Photographer Tony Buttigieg, I'm going to ask you to pan over to that table. Tell me what I'm looking at. This is memo after memo after memo, including to the Board of Fire Commissioners, where you pointed out your concern that you were not going to adequately be able to respond to a wildfire, an earthquake, everything that we see precisely in the city.
That's my job as a chief, is to take a big step back and understand where and how can we better serve the community. As a community needs more, we need to have more to make sure that our firefighters can serve them. I identified early, my team identified early, labor identified early that we have service gaps. So when you talk about sounding the alarm and asking and requesting budgets that are easily justifiable based off of the data, real data, shows what the fire department needs to serve this beautiful city and the beautiful community that we swore that we would. That's what that is about. It is the follow-up. It's showing and justifying where our gaps are, and it's raising and sounding the alarm that the fire department is underfunded, understaffed, and under-resourced.
Do you believe, had your budget concerns been properly addressed in the new fiscal year, would we have seen the same outcome that we are seeing now with thousands and thousands, unprecedented numbers of structures, homes, businesses lost? Would the outcome have been different if they had listened to you?
I do believe if we would have set ourselves up appropriately over the past 3 years, we would have been in a better position of what had happened here in the city where we lost homes and we lost lives.
That has to be very emotional for you. This is your job, but this has to be emotional.
This is more than a job to us. This is who we are. This is our duty. And when you don't have that ability and people don't listen, that's why I'm talking to you right now. The fire department needs to be funded appropriately so that I can look any community member in the eye and say, your LAFD's got your back.
And right now you can't?
Right now, no. And that's why I'm here.
And how does that make you feel?
This is the burden of command as a fire chief of the greatest department in the world that I've wholeheartedly raised my hand to say, yes, I will represent the amazing men and women of the LAFD. And when they're not getting what they need to do their jobs, it's enough. And that's why I'm here.
And you have injured firefighters too, and you see those homes that have burned to the ground. There is so much loss. People are out of jobs. What goes through your heart when you see that?
The community is our community. Our firefighters stand with the community. We live in the communities that burned. So if anybody says anything in regard to our firefighters not doing everything that they can to protect our neighbors, our community, I will stand up and defend every action that our members went through and are still actively fighting fire.
I don't think anybody is criticizing the firefighters. I think the criticism has been lobbed maybe 80% at the city of Los Angeles and maybe 20% at the administration here.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I'm here to make sure that we are garnering the support to get our LAFD firefighters what they need to do their jobs, period.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say justifiably what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Career suicide.
Chief Kristen Crowley, I believe the anchors wanted to ask a question back there, had some comments.
We do, Gigi. If you could please ask her regarding the Times article that came out that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was closed to repairs and it was empty. 117 million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that.
Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped.
I'm not going to go into
That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part. But I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got in a very dynamic situation.
And I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whoever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had, they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue